Hello, art students. Today we're going to be talking about balance. The art project we create today will be a reflective paper cutout. Whatever it is that you create, make sure you do fill up your entire quarter sheet of paper. You're going to need one piece of paper, a pencil, scissors, a glue stick, and 1/4 piece of paper. For your paper, you could use a quarter piece of paper that's colored or a white piece of paper that you color in yourself. So here you can see that it's just a quarter size piece of paper. This one I just colored it in to make it colorful. So now that I have my paper, I'm going to take the quarter size piece of paper and my pencil, and I'm going to start drawing what I think might look good as a mirror image. Whatever you do draw is going to reflect on the bottom side of the paper. We'll be cutting it out, and those pieces to be cut out will go at the bottom of the paper. So I'm just going to start with a moon. I'm going to try and create a deer on a lake with maybe a tree and the moon up on the top part of the page. So now I'm starting with my deer. I'm just kind of doing a silhouette of the deer, the head, the antlers, and I'll work my way to the body. Now, whatever you do draw, the more complicated your drawing is, the more little pieces you'll have to cut out. Keep that in mind. If you don't feel very confident in cutting out those very small, tiny pieces, maybe do something that's a larger shape. So this deer has many different curves and twists in it, especially when I do a tree later on. You'll see more curves and twists. If you do simpler shapes, do more of those simpler shapes so you can get it to look nice and detailed. So once I finish up with my deer, I'm going to start filling in all the space with a tree. So I'll be starting from the bottom, working my way upwards. The tree I chose to draw was a dead tree, so I had lots of twists and turns. I chose to do a dead tree, so it would look very detailed in my paper cutout. So there's a few empty spaces towards the bottom, and I want to fill those spaces in with cattails. I kind of want to make it look like it's on a lake, so I'm going to be adding these cattails. After all, this image will be reflective on the bottom part of the page, so adding these cattails might make it look more like a lake. So now that I'm finished with my drawing, I'm going to start cutting out all these pieces. I found with the cattails it would be easier to keep them all together rather than separately cutting them out. With my paper, it is very difficult to keep going back and forth with scissors. This is the longest process, I would say. Please take your time with this. If your paper bends or rips, don't worry. It's an easy fix. You can glue it down where it should be later on. So you can see how it already ripped right towards the deer. That piece ends up getting really, really flimsy in the end, and it's a very easy fix. I just end up gluing it down where it should be. So do not throw away any pieces of paper. When you are cutting, do not take any shortcuts unless that's the only option. What I mean by shortcuts are cutting through the deer's leg to get to the other side. We have to cut exactly on every line. Cutting on exactly every line helps your larger paper stay intact, and it makes it a little easier when you have to put everything together. You will end up with a bunch of pieces in the end, and you do not want to just cut straight across and add more pieces to your pile. So where the moon is at, there's actually no entry point for me to cut. I'm going to have to cut straight into the side and go around the moon. This is fine to do if there's no other option. Even the sticks between the moon, I'll have to get to it the same way. When I go to glue down my moon, I'm just going to make sure that area that I cut is right next to itself so you would not be able to notice that I cut through that area. So now that I got all my pieces cut out, I'm going to slide the pieces that I need to keep to the side, grab my paper, and organize everything before I glue it down. So I'm going to make sure I line it up correctly, then flip it over, making sure I don't get confused in the end. When you are done, make sure you glue down the largest piece first, the piece that you cut everything out of. This is going to help you place the pieces that are reflective right below it. When I go to glue it down, I want to make sure everything is in the right place. So I'm going to start from one end and kind of work my way around, making sure if I cut in any areas, I glue it right next to each other. And even some bent areas or ripped areas will be glued in the correct spot. When I go to glue down my cut out pieces of paper, I really want to make sure I'm gluing the correct side. So to make sure you glue the correct side, look for the side that has the pencil marks on it. Make sure you glue that side down instead of the blank side. I did actually end up doing this a couple of times, putting glue on the wrong side. If that does happen, don't worry, the glue will end up drying anyways. Go ahead and put the glue on the correct side and glue it down the way it's supposed to look. So as I go throughout my paper, I want to really make sure they line up correctly in the right spot. So if I need to adjust something or move it over, I will do that. I also really try to focus on making the pieces look aligned, like a mirror image. Now that I have everything glued down, I'm actually not done yet. I do have some glue on my table that I need to clear off, and I do have some pencil marks on the top of my page that I need to erase. Before you do start erasing, make sure the glue is completely dried. You don't want to make a mess with your finished artwork. Here is my finished artwork. I hope you had fun with this art project, and I will see you next week.